So let me just recap all of this. Let me just recap this really quick. So this will just be like the compilation thing. What's the Jack Spectra about Ruby funny moment? I don't even know what that is because I can't watch Twitch clips in Korea. Okay. All right, let me just recap this entirely. Okay, so the TLDR here that's going on is Reptile, FNATIC, TQ, 80 Carry had a Smurf account, and he logged on it, and the ID was obviously this, and he immediately logs off it, and then apparently he laughs on stream about it. Now, this is then clipped by this person who has since privated her Twitter account, and I'm not going to click on this because I'm not trying to send in more traffic her way, because I guess she privated because she started getting a lot of flame and stuff, and so there's that. So she ended up making a clip about it. Now, after that clip came out, what ended up happening is not she, but there were replies below her tweet that ended up showing other incidences of Reptile being really cringe, and saying like some very cringe stuff. Nothing TOS, nothing like bannable or anything like that. Okay. So these tweets end up coming out at around 11 p.m. KST. So I think that this is happening at around 4 p.m. Berlin time. And when that happens, there was a screenshot that ends up coming out, which is Reptile posts in his own private Discord with, I assume, his editors or something, or his graphic artists or something. Tactical meeting. Is this, how bad is it? And his editors tell him very bad. I really wish that I could find that image. Maybe Veteran has it tweeted. Let me check. Maybe Veteran has it tweeted. Let's see. Yeah. All right. So here it is. So here's the image of that. Reptile ends up saying, guys, tactical meeting, is this bad? Now, this is happening at 4:08 p.m. Berlin time. And then someone here, I don't know who this is, says, yes, this is really bad. Okay. So that's where we're at. Now, the issue is that Reptile eventually releases a statement. Now, his statement comes after FNATIC ends up terminating him on Twitter. So FNATIC TQ, I think it's FNATIC TQ, right? They put out this statement on Twitter, and the statement that they ended up putting out here is, today's events on the stream demonstrate that he doesn't represent at all the values of both Team Queso and FNATIC, and he doesn't meet the criteria of exemplary that anyone who is part of either of the two entities must show at all times, both within and outside of the competition. For this reason, we have proceeded to terminate his contract. Okay, so FNATIC came out with this. Now, in my experience, typically organizations will talk to the person that they are going to terminate or whatever. So I assume that this happened, now this is 2 hours ago. This is happening at 3 a.m. KST. So this is about 3 hours roughly after this tweet all goes, kind of nuts. So I assume that they talk to him. But then to follow this up, what ends up happening is Reptile makes a tweet. So in his tweet, he says, addressing the situation, he made a very big mistake sharing an account with a friend, as shown there, and he's very sorry to his teammates. FNATIC and all the fans says you don't deserve to be left without an ADC for the rest of the split. Now, one of the things that I do want to point out is that I don't believe that this is actually put through ChatGPT or anything like that. I think he's actually, speaking in English, because there are mistakes that are present in it. Obviously, the most notable one is the very top. There's a missing D in addressing. So I do not think that this is like written by something else, as some other creators have done in the scene, but not even just in League of Legends, but elsewhere. They've actually had their apologies and like other stuff put into ChatGPT, even as like native English speakers. Now, I did say to Griffin that if he wanted to write it in German, because he wasn't super confident about his English, that he could then put it into ChatGPT or something if he wanted to make an English response. He says, my values were always sharing my knowledge and trying to help everyone around the world. I'm sure everyone who's close with me would agree with this, and I didn't mean to cause any harm. I was fully aware of the account. I was fully unaware of the account being named like this. Now, this is a really interesting part, and I'd like to put like an asterisk here. It is obviously an unacceptable name, which explains why I logged into the stream. I didn't realize the name change. I even mentioned that I wanted a Draven skin in the clip. As the person I shared the account with is a Draven player. I hope this clears up the situation a bit. Once again, I am terribly at fault, and I have to accept the consequences. Thank you for all reading, and I hope the people that I hurt will be able to forgive me. Okay, so then Scriptless, or not Scriptless, ends up tweeting, and this happens at 8:09 p.m. So I assume this is 4 hours after 4 hours Berlin, right? Because I imagine that Reptile is making the screenshot. So this is exactly 4 hours after Reptile asks his Discord.
That's the Swear 7 tweet.
I know.
No, but he tweeted like 2 hours after.
Oh, you're right. I'm
This
an
is
idiot.
like
I'm an idiot.
the
Yeah. No, you're right.
math
Oh my god, you're right. That's oh my god. I didn't even see the June 6th. Okay. So this actually doesn't show the timeline on Scriptless. So I'm actually not sure when Scriptless made this tweet. Let me actually check when Scriptless made this tweet. Give me a second. Not Scriptless.
It was around like 2 hours, I think.
Okay, not Scriptless. He has like no followers on Twitter. Okay. So he made this tweet, has 305,000 views. And he made this tweet at 12:51 a.m., which is an hour and a half, roughly, or almost 2 hours actually, after the reptile stuff goes out. So Scriptless actually gets on this pretty quick to make this response. So this is also 2 hours before FNATIC make their response. So Saware7 tweet here from June 16th, 2022 is apparently where the ID comes from. Now, the other thing about Reptile's thing is that he actually shows the name change history of the account, showing that the name used to be LS Clicks and that now it was changed to, this right here, 1199, on Saturday, February 11th, 2023, 5 months ago. Now, I ended up making a tweet in response to Reptiles tweet, which was the only thing that's really weird about this is that the reply took 5 hours, which is really weird. He obviously contacted Scriptless, and Scriptless wrote a tweet in his defense, but still, he didn't come out with anything himself. That is a little bit weird. As a content creator, not just in League of Legends, generally, everything you see from any content creator, anyone who is accused of really serious things, anything that's serious that you know can come down really hard on you, especially if you even see it starting to build, okay? Normally, you just deny it right away. Whatever the fuck it is, typically, you deny it immediately and you engage with it to actually deny it and then try to clear up whatever it could be. Typically, that is what happens. I think now, obviously, you could argue that like some people could be shocked by what's going on and all this other type of stuff, but I don't think that this was like an incident that would require like legal caution and like all this other type of stuff, depending on what you're going to say and yada, yada, yada. It is weird that it takes 5 hours. And so I do add this at the very top. And then I say that I think that if really all that he's at fault for is sharing an account, which is a ton of pro players, they do it all the time. It's so great. Everyone account shares. Then how is the dogpiling FNATIC kicking him? So what I mean by this is obviously, yes, account sharing violates Riot TOS and it is really bad. And him logging into that account, even unknowingly, there should still be a penalty and there should still be some sort of a consequence. But I am not actually sure, unless there's something that we don't know, if FNATIC just outright kicking him without like fining him or penalizing him or Riot penalizing him, etc. I'm not sure. Because there have been, as Forest Within actually ends up tweeting, which I'm not going to pull up all of Forest's tweets, there have been pro players that have done far worse than this, both publicly and privately, that nothing happens to them, even when it does end up coming out. And so sometimes, in some instances, they do get penalized by Riot or they get fined by their org or other stuff. And I said that it sets a weird precedent, IMO, if you punish people for actions of others. So you can punish him for the account sharing, and you can punish him, for not being more careful. But I said that I feel like there is a really weird precedent, and if you just punish him for actions of someone else, and obviously on stream I gave some other analogies and comparisons of like incidences where something like this could end up happening. People in the past used to, go on other people's Twitter's accounts. People would leave their Twitter logged in or something. And I made examples of, what would happen if like a boot camper is sleeping and then another boot camper wants to play a prank and, changes their IGN or goes on their Twitter or like posts something. Who actually gets in trouble in that instance? Do you punish the person for leaving their Twitter open or their account online or something like that? Now, you could say that it's not directly the same because, again, they're account sharing and stuff. But the main precedent is that Reptile was not the one to do the name change, and he wasn't the one to make humor of the name change and all this other stuff. But I do still think that he does have to have some form of punishment. Yes, absolutely. But it is a little bit weird. Now, Veteran comes along and makes this tweet, and I think this tweet is amazing. So he says, first of all, I don't think Reptile's the fastest or anything. From personal interactions, he's a nice guy. I'm not saying that as some random bit of support. He is a bit lazy, but he's nice. Okay. Next, it's completely understandable that he got fired over this. You're not going to explain to every goddamn sponsor, broadcast partner, faction of your org from here until he's gone why it's fine if you kept him. So I just want to say that this is probably the only part of the tweet that I disagree with. One, you don't actually have to explain it to every single part of the org. Because you just have to make a statement once, and then anyone can always just point back towards the statement, right? The other thing is that Reptile is actually not a massive figure inside of the scene. People are passerbyers that don't end up seeing this or not going to see it, weeks from now or something. It's not going to be a topic of conversation. And I don't think that it's really going to be brought up except by like the Twitter trolls and Reddit trolls and like other people that will bring up anything from, even 10 years ago. So it's I don't agree with the idea that you have to explain it to everyone. But also, again, what is kind of contradictory is there are things that other people have done that has been way worse that sponsors apparently don't care and orgs don't care. But again, this is partially because Reptile is not a large enough personality, and he's not important enough to the org to make it so that maybe they'd want to go to bat in some ways. This is also partially because he handled it so badly. True. If you are ever in this situation, do this. Immediately tweet, don't go around trying to get this deleted. True. And I said that is one of the really weird parts about what Reptile did. It's very bizarre to me that he immediately goes to his Discord to seek confirmation or something from his own Discord that I think edits and does, thumbnails and edit highlights and clips and stuff for him to ask if it's actually bad, as if he doesn't actually perceive that maybe it's bad. No, you can actually not perceive that something might be more severe than it is. I mean, I deal with that myself all the time on an emotional level, right? Because I literally can't interpret or feel certain emotional things that other people would be able to feel, and that's totally fine. I'm cognizant of it, but sometimes it does make it so that maybe I will fumble or I will, not be able to read the room in certain situations, right? I'm someone that's extremely dependent on patterns and, behavioral like language and body language and all this other type of stuff in order to read things and understand what's going on. So sometimes that happens. So yeah, in your tweet, say that the profile is going around. You have a history with being edgy and have edgy friends, and you need to grow up, and that you will. You follow that up by declaring explicitly that you are against fascists, bigots, Nazis, and making it extremely clear what side you are on. You don't spend the tweet feeling sorry for yourself. True. You announce that you make up for this. You're going to donate a percentage of yourself. I don't know. I don't know if you have to do something like this. I agree that you can. But then you get people that are just saying that it's forced and that it's all ceremony and it's, whatever. In total, this is this action. This is actionable reparations, clearly addresses your wrongs and make your stances clear. That's ultimately what FNATIC and the public wants and needs. It's too late now, but it should have immediately happened. So I agree with Veteran. Perhaps if Reptile was absolutely on top of this and he comes out before FNATIC does, maybe FNATIC's message is different. Maybe they state that they have fined him and that they've penalized him and that they're working with Riot or like whatever else. Now, one of the things that I am curious about, and I did say in one of my tweets, is that I would be really interested if Riot investigates the account and checks the IP addresses of the people that have logged into it. That actually verifies whether or not Reptile has ever logged into that account, like he's saying, since, it's been name changed. Now, if Riot would investigate that, or maybe they did, maybe FNATIC actually did, and maybe that's just something that's not coming out, in which case that would mean that he's lying about his statement. That could be a little bit worse. Now, I think that all the replies on Twitter, obviously, people are getting very emotional about various things. And this happens with all things, and it's obviously very difficult and frustrating to deal with because you just start engaging with people that are clearly not actually thinking. They're just emotionally charged. And they're very like hive mind oriented, like mob mentality. So you're not actually dealing with rational people, and even in some instances, you're not dealing with intelligent people. So the replies for kind of everyone's Twitter right now is sort of like a cesspool, unless you two are sort of like dogpiling. There's a couple of other creators that have joined in like comment about like Reptile getting removed or that, they've quote retweeted and stuff. But it is definitely a little bit weird. Now I will go into the Reptile made a response, which apparently is on the front page of Reddit. Reptile statements to address the drama, also with a typo. Maybe it's not a typo. Is that how address is spelled in German or something? This is weird, right? Okay. Attaches 2 pics. TLDR, Reptile was playing in Spanish League ADC, got kicked from the team after he logged on his stream account. According to him, the account was shared with one of his friends, related thread. Isn't account sharing also against the rules? It is. Optic-wise, it's better to share an account than to name your account. True. Receipts seem to line up. Okay. Also explains why he would log into the account on stream. It doesn't line up at all. The account was renamed 5 months ago, but the last games are 2 months ago. The tweet referencing the name is 13 months old. Surely seems entirely believable that he didn't know about that. There's also 0 Draven games in the last 3 years on this account. He supposedly shares with a Draven main. Okay, that's an interesting thing. So again, Riot should just look into the IP. Yeah, his story is very believable if you know that he played on it while the name was already changed, that the account doesn't belong to a Draven player like he claimed, and the third person who claims to have done the renaming refers to the account as Reptiles account. Okay, all right, well, now this is wait, refers to the account as Reptiles account. Okay. Scriptless is a challenger ADC main himself and uses sums on the same keys, so it's not impossible he was the one who played the game 2 months ago. Okay, if they have different keys, then it gets a little bit interesting too. The account was renamed 5 months ago, but last games are 2 months ago. Wow, the game couldn't possibly be played by the guy with a renamed account, right? Unless he only plays the champions Reptile plays when he's on the account, uses the same sums. Oh, his sums are Reptiles, but not Scriptless's. Oh, all right. That's a little sus. If he had said this sooner, but publicly and internally FNATIC, maybe things could have gone differently. True, I agree. I'm looking forward to next guide. I'm assuming his story is completely true. Definitely sucks. Well, I'm not assuming that his story is completely true. I always err. Like, that's what my main tweet is, and that, you know. Okay. This account plays Callista Aphelios. Scriptless account has no games on Callista. No Aphelios games, while Reptile mains both of these. Reptile plays Lucian with Ignite PTA Sorcery. Like this account. Scriptless almost never plays Ignite and plays PTA Inspiration. 2 months ago, the account was a Reptile was always playing Ezreal with Conqueror, like this account. Okay, now I do believe. Okay, now I actually think. Now the detector, dude, Reddit is just actually based. Okay, so in end conclusion, if everything here is right, the sums are lining up to Reptile. Champions, rune choices and stuff are really accurate. Can you imagine me playing with Cookie in mid lane and then trying to, like, can you imagine? Like, that's how you know it's not me, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have futures market. Like, oh my God. Okay, so this information is obviously really good. Right. This guy's a fucking goat. Wait. All right, this is my final tweet. In conclusion, now I do believe that Reptile is lying, and that's why it took 5 hours. I believe that he probably messaged Scriptless. Scriptless doesn't seem to be a notable person. I mean, he has 170 followers on Twitter or something. Doesn't seem to be notable. Scriptless is probably just willing to take the fall because they're friends, and Scriptless doesn't have a reputation. Reptile's in panic mode. That's why it takes 5 hours. Okay, now it makes sense. Okay, that's it. That's my own conclusion. I hope